Lee Trevethan.
Hi, I'm Des Knight.
And together we created Gossimo. YouTube video will show you how you can play Gossimo. Introducing you to the rules of Gossimo, but first to let you know where the game emanated from. It came from the period in time in China's history where warlords ruled. Introduce you to the pieces in the game. The game has two sides of 6 pieces each. What we have is a red team and a yellow team, and you can actually determine the name of that team that will go into battle. What we have is the Gossimo Prince. He's positioned as set up on the table. The Gossimo Prince is learning the art of warcraft in that time period. The king is his father, and he basically drives the battle and controls the battle. We have soldiers either side to help support the army. The yellow team, similar pieces. They have their crowns, and they will become an integral part of the game in being able to score to win the battle. There are 3 best of 3 battles. Wins the game and the region in the Chinese area. I'd like to now talk about the Gossimo Prince. The Gossimo Prince is a junior learning the art of warfare. And one of the key rules in this game is that the Gossimo Prince must be brought back from the holding box if there's an opportunity to do so. In addition to the pieces that are on the table that are the opponents, that are the soldiers from both sides, we also have a holding box set up on the table. The holding box is used when your opposition knocks your pieces out of the game. They go into the holding box. They can be brought back into the game if you also knock one of their pieces down, or which we'll go into a little later. We have the points, extra bonus points that are available to people, and they're captured, or they're used when the crowns are knocked off the pieces without the piece actually falling over. You actually get bonus points for that, and they can't be taken away from you. So they form part of your set of points that determines the number of points in the game that you get on the completion of that game. We have a scorebook. The scorebook is actually set up to register the best of 3 games, and is also used in the doubles arrangement as well. We have a doubles play set of rules as well. So yeah, now I want to introduce you to some of the ways that we play the game. Pretty much based on initially on the serving. The table tennis table and the table tennis game is generally using two serves per person, and that's still the case with Gossimo. So you basically take turns, or you flip a coin to determine who starts the game, and then we'll look at how you use your strategy to win the game.
The Great Wall, the net is when you hit the top of the wall and it goes over. So with serving, it's still in play. So if it goes over, hits a net, you keep on playing, or if it knocks a piece over, it counts. With normal table tennis, you hit the net. When you're serving, you replay the point. If you hit the wall when serving, on your side of the table and it rebounds and hits a piece, that counts. So that piece goes in the box and your opponent can move the piece around because it won the rally.
I'll talk to you about the initial formation at the start of the game. The soldiers are set up with the same formation that we have here. It's also shown in the rule book, so you'll have no problems setting them up. What we have is a measuring tool. Measuring tool actually determines how far from the edge of the table we can place the pieces, and also with regard to the freestanding wall, Great Wall, we also have minimum distances using the measuring tool to where people can be placed, where the positions can be placed when they move away from the initial setup, as per what we're seeing here. The other thing to note is that each piece is worth 2 points. The actual numbers and value of the pieces are written on the base of each of the soldiers and king and Gossimo and the king. The crowns for Gossimo are valued at 2 points, and the crown for the king is valued at 4 points. So you can knock those crowns off. Your opponent can knock those crowns off without knocking the pieces over, and they get the value of those crowns in a token that's available in the game. And that gets positioned alongside the holding box and is added up as part of the overall score at the end of the game as to how many you have. You can play the game on a dining table, and the freestanding wall can be used without a net, but generally when we're playing it on a table tennis table, we sit the wall over the net. To now talk about the king. It is the most important piece on the table. Yes, Gossimo is important, but the king itself is in a situation or a position where it cannot move at any point. So when we set up the pieces on the table, when we start the game, the king must stay in that spot for the entire game. The aim of the game obviously is to knock all the pieces out of the game, but the king must be moved or knocked over last, and that is the point where you win the game. I'll talk later about the winning the game situation, but yeah, the key thing right now is that the king cannot move, even when you win a rally.
When opponents are knocked over during play, like that, play must stop, and that soldier is then put into the holding box, and then play continues after that. They cannot continue play after that because that's the rally won by the yellow side, and it means the yellow side can move a piece in their army.
As before, the Gossimo game has 2 balls. The game is played with 2 balls, similar to the table tennis game. A white ball and an orange ball. The white ball is the first ball to serve at any time. We're in battle scenarios now in the rule book. There's a number of different battle scenarios we're going to discuss. The first one is to talk about the crowns and what your reward is for knocking crowns off the particular opponents. So if your opponent, the yellow side, knocks the king's crown off without knocking the king himself over, first thing that happens is the crown goes back on the king, but the reward for the yellow side is 4 points. That's the value of that token, and that can be sat on top of the Great Wall. Again, if the yellow opponent knocks the Gossimo Prince, his crown off without knocking the Gossimo Prince over, again there is a points allocated to that side. Gossimo's crown on its own is worth 2 points. So those points can't be taken away from you.
About the term friendly fire. Friendly fire is when you knock one of your own opponents over by mistake, which means it counts. Like if you go for a shot, it's over, it is gone in the pots. Your opponent then can move a piece using the measuring stick to a position on their battlefield. When the crowns are knocked off by friendly fire, that means your opponent gets 4 points, which goes on their score at the end of the game. So the crown is placed back on, and because the crown was knocked off by you, they won the rally, they can move another piece. So the armies actually move around as you progress. Another battle scenario is knocking crowns off the prince and the king by friendly fire. When you go to play a stroke, either by bat or ball, you hit the crowns off, like that. That means that your opponent receives 4 points for that. And the same with the prince. If you accidentally knock the crown off, they receive 2 points for that, and the crown goes back on.
Rally. There are a number of ways you can win a rally. The key thing with winning the rally is that you're able to move a piece if you wish. So you win the rally, you can make a decision that this particular piece, the tall soldier, may wish to be moved to a position at the back end of the table.
Winning a rally, moving pieces, you have the option of moving it, but when you go against the wall, it must be that far off the wall, or in the box, that far off the box, so that the pieces can be actually hit over. Battle scenario, when the king is knocked over by an opponent, that's when the king and the crown is knocked over. That is good for the red side. That means that the red side can bring back one of their fallen soldiers from there and place in whatever position they want, or they have the other option of removing one of their soldiers or prince, but the king is not in that. They can remove a soldier and put it out of the battle. I'd like to talk about hitting the ball on the full, which is a penalty stroke. So if your opponent hits the ball and you cover, say, the prince, and the ball comes and hits the ball on the full, that's a penalty for this side. So that means the yellow army has the option of removing one of the soldiers or the prince, or bringing back one of their soldiers. In this case, the best option would be to remove Gossimo, because that's worth 4 points at the end of the game, and this side is getting close to the end, and that would be the best option. Talk about hitting the ball on the full or shielding, which is a penalty. So, as an example, if the red army hits the ball, the yellow army hits the ball, and it's hit on the full by the red army, that is a penalty for the red army. So that means they have the option of returning. The yellow army has the option of removing opponent, a red army opponent, or they can return one of their soldiers. On the other hand, is shielding. If they place the bat in front, shielding the prince, and the ball is hit on the full, that is a penalty again, and the same, they have the option. The yellow army has the option to remove a soldier or bring back one of theirs. To do it properly, they should actually wait for the ball to bounce. The ball must bounce, then they manoeuvre their bat around and hit away. So if they're quick enough and skilled enough, they can get their bat in and over, and that's a good shot. About multiple knockdowns. Multiple knockdowns is when the ball comes over, the opponent hits the ball, comes over the net, and actually hits more than one up. All those three pieces, including the prince, are out of the game for the moment. They can come back. If you do the same thing with, say, friendly fire, they've been positioned, you go to play a stroke, they're out of the game. Talk about accidentally knocking the table and knocking pieces over. Does not count. So, for example, if you go for a stroke and you knock the table, like that, does not count. All pieces are returned to their position and play resumes. So that's just to stop anybody doing it on purpose.
Winning the game now. So we have a situation here where the yellow army has many soldiers all ready to line up the king. What they need to do to win the game is ball comes over net and knock over the king. That situation, game over, and the yellow army counts its points and tallies those and adds those into the scorebook for that particular battle. Another scenario that I like to talk about to win the game is in friendly fire, is when the opponent, the red side, hits their own piece over under friendly fire terms. That's also a winning the game situation for the yellow, and again the yellow adds up all their points and puts those into the scorebook. The third scenario for winning the game is where there are multiple pieces on the table and they're positioned, let's say, reasonably close but within the right distance limits. If the yellow army knocks all pieces over in the one ball movement, then that's also winning the game. The fourth method of winning the game, I'll just go through that now as well, and that's where we talked about before the shielding of the piece or hitting the ball on the full. So with the ball coming over the table and the person tries to protect and it hits the ball on the full, then that's also a foul shot and the game is then over. Now that we've taken you through the rules, we would like to demonstrate the game for you in a battle.
That's good for me. I'll take that one. I won that rally. That's not good.
That's a foul
That's
shot.
not good.
I will reset the king and I will take Gossimo.
What?
Table.
Oh. I need to get these grounds. 2 points. These are the butts.
Not very happy.
You won the rally. Won the rally. piece standing, bring one
I
back.
can bring back a piece and position where I like. And put that back on.
I need to get rid of Gossimo. Rally.
On the rally. Yes.
Rally.
Yes. Fight back starts. Another false shot by Des. I can bring back another piece.
Whoops, lost the rally.
I can move my Gossimo where I want. Yep. Ah. As we can see, the king is a little bit difficult to avoid, and that's the benefit for me. That's about the right position. I've got one more serve. So getting close to winning the game now.
I cannot stop kicking out.
I'm very happy about that.
I'm in
As
big
the
trouble.
opponent, what else have I got? Now I've got all my pieces back on the table now. You can move a piece if you wish. It's mine now.
You got one of yours?
No. Very difficult position where there's a set the soldier.
Got him.
Yes. Yeah, good serve. Yep.
Just make sure that's right. So there you go.
There are two whites here. I need the orange.
You need it. Yeah.
Okay, that's better. No. One more.
You can move these if you want. That's unfair.
Yes, well done.
4 points.
Well done. Mine now.
Your turn.
It goes in the holding box. It's very, very
Some
close.
battle, this one.
It was a real battle. One more turn. Oh, gee.
Now we're even. Friendly fire.
Goes off the table.
Lee's in trouble.
I'm in trouble. I've got one. Des got one left. Oh, here we go.
Game over.
Des, don't turn up. No. And Des, you've got to count your points
Yes.
now.
I do.
Yeah.
I have got 6. 4 and 2. 6. And that's 2. That is 8. I've got 10. I've got 14. I've got 18.
So 18 points goes against Des's position in the scorebook as the winner of game 1 or battle 1. There are best of 3 battles, wins the game. So it's a 0-18 score to start with.